Hello, Berclair third graders. My name is Miss Warner, and today we are going to do 3 different things. We're going to do some math fluency, an application problem, and a math riddle together. Before we get started, I just wanted to say hello to those of you that I have not met before, and to my students. I miss you all so much. I wish that we got to do math together, but today we get to do some math together online, which will be awesome as well. So we're going to, before we get started, just talk a little bit about online lesson norms. So whenever we do a math lesson together online, these are some things I want you to think about. And these should be the same for all of the 3rd grade YouTube videos. The first norm is to focus. So it's really important that as we're doing math together, we're watching and listening to learn as much as we can. So it's really important that when you're watching these videos, they're only 15 or 20 minutes long. It's really important that you're focused as much as you can. The next thing, number 2, is to rewind the video if you're confused or you need something repeated. So in class, if you have a question, you can raise your hand again. Here, it's not a live video, so if you need to hear something again, go ahead and pause the video and rewind. And you'll see this little gray pause symbol throughout the lesson today, and those are moments where I want you to stop. Number 3 is record your learning on your paper. Today you'll need a paper and a pencil to get started, and you'll see this pencil appear a few times throughout the lesson. That's when I want you to record your thoughts and your learning on your paper. And the last part is to reflect on your learning in the comment section of the video. So whenever you comment, it's really important that you include the following things in your comment. You're going to include your name, your response in a complete sentence, and then evidence to support your response. And then here are a few symbols that you're going to see throughout my lesson today and all of the other teachers as well. The pause symbol means that we want you to pause the video. So a lot of times I'll say pause the video and I want you to think about this question. And you'll see that gray pause symbol throughout the video. The second symbol is the pencil, which means I want you to write. So in math, we sometimes do math in our heads, but we also like to write our answers out a lot. And so you'll see this pencil appear a couple times throughout the lesson. The third symbol is a little brain that has a face and is waving. It's pretty cute. And that means you're going to stop and think. So sometimes I'll tell you to either pause the video or we're going to stop for a second and think about our answer. And the last symbol is blue, and it says the word comment. And this is when I want you to post your thinking in the comments. So that's when, if we go back to our online norms, you're going to include your name, your response in a complete sentence, and then some evidence to support your response. So for today's lesson, you just need a pencil and a piece of paper for our math today. First, we're going to skip count by 6s to 60. And I really want you to, my students do this awesome in the classroom, and I still want you to do this now, is I want you to use your fingers to keep track. So you're going to hold up your hands. Usually we start with 2 fists, and as we count, we're adding a multiple each time. So when we count by 6s to 60, every time we put up a finger, we're adding another 6. And so we're going to count together. I want you to stay on track with me. Count as you see the numbers. All right, ready, go. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and 60. I want you to think in your head, 6 times what number equals 60? You have about 5 seconds to think about it. 6 times something equals 60. If you said 6 times 10 equals 60, that would be correct. We counted by 6s 10 times to get to 60. All right. Next, we're going to count by 7s to 70. So same thing, start with 2 fists out. And every time we add a multiple of 7, you're going to add a finger. All right, ready? Count with me, go. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, and 70. All right, think in your heads for a second. 7 times blank equals 70. 3, 2, 1. If you said 7 times 10 equals 70, you're correct. I want us to think in our heads really quickly. If I said 7 times blank equals 35, what would that answer be? 7 times blank equals 35. Think in your heads for a second. You have about 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you said 7 times 5 equals 35, that would be correct because we added together 5 multiples of 7 to get to 35. And you notice that because 35 is the 5th number in our skip count. All right, now I have a challenge for you. You're going to count by 7s to 70. So in just a second, I'm going to have you take your paper and a pencil, and you're going to count by 7s to 70 on your paper. So I want you to, when I say go, pause the video, do that, and then when you're done, you can unpause the video. All right, go ahead and pause. All right, I hope that you counted by 7s to 70. In a second, I'm going to show you the skip count and you can check your work. If you missed one, you can go back and erase and fix it. But here is our skip count to 70. Let's count by 7s to 70 together one more time, just as a practice. So you can use your count or mine. We're going to count together by 7s to 70. Ready, go. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, and 70. Awesome job. All right, now we're just going to do a few fractions, so you don't have to write anything here. I just want you to think in your head. We're going to name the unit fraction. Now remember, when we hear that word unit, we think of uni, so like unicorn, unicycle, we're thinking of 1. So 1 part of this whole is called what? Think in your head. You have about 3 seconds. This one should be easy. 3, 2, and 1. If you said 1/2 is the unit fraction, you'd be correct. All right, next one. We have this picture. Think in your head, what is the unit fraction of this whole? So there's 1 part of this whole shaded. What is that fraction? You have about 5 seconds to think. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you said 1/4, that would be correct. We have one more picture. Looks a little bit more complicated, but I know you can do it. If you need help, think about counting how many parts there are of our whole. So 1 part is shaded. What is this unit fraction? You have about 5 seconds to think. If you need a little more time, you can pause the video until you figured it out. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you said 1/8 is this unit fraction, you'd be correct because we have 1 part shaded, but we have 8 equal parts total. So our fraction is 1/8. All right, I want you to think for a second. We did a few of these in class in January when we started fractions. These are would you rather questions about fractions. So in a second, I want you to pause the video and think about this question. It says, would you rather share a churro? And I know a lot of you are big fans of churros. Would you rather share a churro with 4 people or 6 people, and why? So think in your head, would you rather share a churro with 4 people or 6 people, and why? Go ahead and pause the video and think for a second. All right, go ahead and unpause the video. A lot of students in the past have said they'd rather share with 4 people because they would get a bigger piece. But some people, if they don't like churros, they would say 6 people. Because if you have to share with 4 people, you're going to get a bigger piece than someone who has to share with 6 people. All right, this one I want you to pause the video after I read the question, and I want you to think about your answer. And you're going to share this in the comment section. So you can put your name and share your answer to this question. And I'm going to be so excited to see all of your guys thinking about this question. It says, would you rather share a bag of Takis with 2 people or 3 people, and why? So go ahead and pause the video, write your answer in the comment section. Think about if you shared with 2 people or 3 people, would you get more or less? Go ahead and pause the video and answer the question. All right, I cannot wait to see your guys' thinking in the comment section. Thank you for using complete sentences and using your full name your name so that I know whose answer is whose. I'm really excited to read those. Next, we're going to do an application problem together. So I'm going to read the problem to you, and on your paper, you're going to solve the problem. So you're going to, I didn't put the pause symbol here, but pretend it's there. You're going to pause the video and show your work. So our problem says, for breakfast, Mrs. Shadow spent 1/6 of her money on coffee and 1/6 of her money on a bagel. What fraction of her money did Mrs. Shadow spend on breakfast? So what I would do first is I would think, what picture can I draw to help me solve this problem? So if I know she's spending 1/6, what might my picture look like? And if you would like to do this extra challenge problem down here, it says, did Mrs. Shadow spend more or less than 1/2 of her money? How do you know? So you're going to think about those problems. Go ahead and pause the video. Once you've done your work, you can press play and you can check your work with my answers. All right, go ahead and pause. All right, so here is my work. I said, so looking at this problem, it says for breakfast, Mrs. Shadow spent 1/6 of her money on a coffee and 1/6 of her money on a bagel. So in my mind, I knew she was spending 1/6, so I knew that my whole picture, my whole rectangle, or my fraction strip would represent the amount of money she has. And I drew this whole into 6ths, so I broke it into 6 equal parts. I colored in one piece, which would be 1/6, to show the money that she spent on a coffee, and I colored in another 1/6 to show the money that she spent on a bagel. So looking at my picture, I can see that Mrs. Shadow spent 2/6 of her money on breakfast. And then for our challenge problem was, did Mrs. Shadow spend more or less than 1/2 of her money, and how do you know? I said that Mrs. Shadow spent less than 1/2 of her money. And I said this because when I looked at my fraction picture, my fraction strip, I could tell that 2/6 was smaller than 1/2. And I drew another picture. I know that 3/6 is equal to 1/2. And so I could tell that my picture was less than 1/2. So we know Mrs. Shadow spent less than 1/2 of her money on her breakfast. And here's our last part for the day. This is a math riddle. I thought this one was pretty challenging and fun. So what I want you to do is I have 3 statements here, and we're trying to guess what number this statement is describing. So I will read you these 3 statements. You're going to solve and then leave a comment telling us what number you think it is. So here are the statements. It says, I am more than the perimeter of a square with a side of 25. So if I have a square and I know that one side is 25, I can find the perimeter of this square. And this is saying that this number for our riddle is more than the perimeter of this square. So we know that it's greater than the perimeter of the whole square. The second part says, I am an odd number. So we want to think about what makes a number odd or even. And then the last part says, I am less than 70 plus 33. So you're going to have to solve 70 plus 33 to figure out what number we're talking about. So it's just a little bit of a math challenge for you, but go ahead and pause the video. Think about these 3 statements and think about what number we could be describing. I'm so excited to see in the comments how you guys solved this. I definitely suggest using a pencil and a piece of paper so that you can show your work. All right, go ahead and pause and solve. That's all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed doing fluency, application problem, and a math riddle with me today. I had a lot of fun doing math with you guys today, and I'm excited to do more with you next week. All right, have a great day. Bye.